Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily. Thank you for tuning in. Your Madison City Schools broadcast will begin momentarily.
I'd like to call the City of Madison Board of Education School Board meeting for March 24th, 2022 to order. We're going to have a special guest tonight. He is going to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us. If Will Chatham or Olaf will come forward. Pledge of Allegiance, please. Will, if you'll come right on up here. Right there would be great. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Will.
Olaf.
Roll call, please. Here.
Here.
Mr. Travis Cummings.
Here.
Mr. Greg Colsey.
Here.
Ms. Alice Lester.
Here.
Thank you. Board, if you'll review the agenda, I need a motion and a second.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Cummings. All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Agenda passes. Dr. Nichols, presentations, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, I introduce Ms. Miranda Bolden, the principal at Columbia Elementary School. I believe she has some guests with her tonight.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Wait on my distinguished guest. All right. Thank you guys for having us this evening. One thing that, out of many things, that's very special about Columbia is our drama department. It is all in-house. So we have teacher volunteers, we have parent volunteers, staff volunteers, and they all come together and they work for months and months and months. And I've heard them outside my office singing beautifully over the past few weeks, preparing for what we expect to be an amazing show. This year, one thing that is unique about this show, we normally have it at the high school, so we kind of go back and forth having it among Bob Jones and James Clemens. This year, we are excited to host it at our own cafeteria stage. And so that's one thing that these kids will get to experience that no one has experienced before them. So we're very excited about that. Without further ado, I do want to share that we have 48 cast members, but we have 3 of our lead characters here with us. We also have 50 chorus members. So it's a big production, and we're very excited to see it next weekend. So they're what we're all here to see. So I'm going to pass the mic off to Mr. Olaf. Right here.
Hi everyone, I'm Olaf and I like warm hugs. What I also like is for you to join us in Frozen Junior play. Now I'll pass it off to young Anna and young Elsa.
I don't know. A little bit of me, a part that loves to dream, a part that swings from a tree, a little like me, a part that's nice, a part that's naughty too, a loyal friend who is there no matter what, with a big round belly and a big bouncy butt, who love warm hugs and the bright sunlight, and who really love the summer but home out. Yeah, you're right. So we'll build him back together, yes, together, that's the key. 'Cause he's a little bit of you and me. What do we call him? Olaf. Hi, I'm Olaf and I like warm hugs. I love you, Olaf. Okay, wait,
I will now pass the tickets to the board members.
So that means we hope to see you guys one night next weekend, okay?
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Let's
you.
have their moment in the spotlight.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Good job.
Well, Dr. Nichols, I'd hate to see any presentations you have following that one, but try again.
I'm going to let Mr. Hill from Discovery come after that one, and I promise you he's not going to sing. I don't think. He might. I don't know. Mr. Hill, I think you have some folks with you tonight. Mr. Terrell, I think they're gathered out there in the hall if you want to bring in the Discovery Middle School Scholars Bowl team.
While they're coming in, and no, I don't sing. I left that profession a long time ago. But it is kind of bittersweet to see Columbia coming up as we started that. I think Miss Bolden's going to bring it home. But we got that thing going back in the day with Frozen Junior. It's so awesome to see you guys. Okay, let me pull the mic up. Miss Barragona, are you here? Come on up, Discovery Scholars Bowl. Come all the way up, guys. Got a rowdy crowd out there, so I think they're working through that.
Keep on coming.
Y'all come y'all keep coming all the way up here. Hey, I promise you, it's not about me, it's about you. All right, thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Nichols, for having us tonight to showcase just a small little snippet of what we have going on at Discovery Middle School. Miss Sarah Barragona has always been a shining star. She knows that. She doesn't even like me to say that about her, but she does amazing things in the classroom every day, but along with our Scholars Bowl champions, and I've sat in, and I think I lost. Did I get one question right? I like you already. So I have. I don't think I've won a chess game or a Scholars Bowl, and I'm going to say match or opportunity yet, but I'll take the two questions. But we have been highly successful, way before me at Discovery. So I want to turn it over to Miss Barragona, our Scholars Bowl sponsor, and talk a little bit about the success that we've had in a very short period of time with both of our teams at the state level.
So at the end, we have four of our 8th graders. This group has won first place at state in 6th grade. Sorry. I don't have to use my teacher voice now. Our 4 8th graders here won first beginning back as 6th graders at state level. They were part of a first place state team last year as 7th graders, and then this year they participated in the first ever filming with Alabama Public Television of a middle school Scholars Bowl tournament, and they won first there. That tournament qualified them for the national tournament for middle school in Chicago in May. So we are going to be leaving in just a few weeks to go compete against 95 other teams from across the country. They this year placed 2nd in the state, so just a few weeks ago. Our 6th graders this year There are 6 of them. That's all I am allowed to take to state, and they placed 3rd this year. They did very well throughout their season in placing 1st, 2nd, or 3rd at every tournament that they attended.
Wow.
So congratulations, guys.
First of all, thank you for being their coach and their sponsor, their leader, their advocate. We appreciate the work that you put in with them. We appreciate each of these students and their parents, the support they get there, and the support. I know it's not just one teacher sponsoring them at Discovery. It's a team effort of support in the classroom. And we're very proud of them on their accomplishments, and we look forward to a return visit after we go to Chicago. How about that? We have a certificate of recognition I'll give to you for each of them.
Okay.
And we're just very proud of their hard work, and let's give them another hand. I think they deserve it. Mr. Peck, are you photographing? You already got it. You're ahead of the game tonight. Well, thank you, young folks. We're very proud of you. Thank you. And help Mr. Hill get more than 3 questions. Maybe we could have a competition one afternoon and have the board come out and let you and the board compete against each other.
Can't someone give us the answers first?
Yeah.
We've actually had it in the past with at Discovery. We've had teachers versus some of our teams.
Uh-huh.
The teachers came very close to winning, but I think they lost that year. Mm-hmm. So we have Owen Bruins, Mark Allison. We have another member, Lewis Johnson. He is actually at Science Olympiad practice because they are going to state on Saturday. Wow. Alex Fedosayev. And Arnav Maskey is our other 8th grade member who could not be here tonight. 6th grade, Logan. Sorry, I'm dropping things here, sir. Jen. Levi. Anjana. Sarah. And Layla. Back to 8th grade. Carson, I'm sorry, you got put at the end. That's everybody.
Thank you all. Bless you.
Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, we now will invite Ms. Courtney Kelley to bring in the Liberty Lionettes dance team and give us an update on a recent competition that they attended in Orlando, Florida.
Good evening, Dr. Nichols. Good evening, board members. Thank you all so much for having us. I am Courtney Kelley, coach of the Liberty Lionettes dance team. I am so happy and proud to have the 2nd best hip-hop team in the nation. Wow. We just returned from NDA Nationals in Orlando, and our Palmer team placed 4th and hip-hop in 2nd. So these girls have worked tremendously hard all year, and I just could not be prouder of them, could be prouder to be their coach. I have my dance team captain who's going to come up and say a few words to you as well.
Hi, my name is Michaela Faria. I am in 8th grade and attend Liberty Middle School. I am the captain of the dance team, the Lionettes, and I wanted to thank you all for inviting us here today. First, I just wanted to say how proud I am of this group of girls and how hard we have all worked as a team. Although we have grown tremendously as individuals, I think we have all grown even more as a dance team altogether. And of course, we couldn't have done it without our role model, Coach Kelley. She plays a big role in our lives, and we wouldn't be the dancers we are today without her. We have all encouraged each other this whole season to push us to be better dancers, and it has paid off a lot. And I don't know what I would do without this team or where I would be. I couldn't be happier getting 4th in the nation for Palm and 2nd in the nation for hip hop. We have all worked so hard, and every second has paid off.
Well, Ms. Kelley, first of all, thank you for being a great coach I know the hours that are put in and the extra effort and time after school and before school and probably on the weekends. And,
it's involved.
It's a lot of activity, a lot of time. And so, girls, congratulations. I think your captain stated the most important part, that you may not win first or second or third every time. I've been to those competitions, and there's a lot of great folks down there, and there's a small difference sometimes between a second or a third. But what you learn is how to work with each other and support each other. The friendships you develop, you will have for life. I promise you that young lady right there, your coach in front of you, you'll have a relationship with her for life. And we're just proud of you. We're proud of the efforts you put in. More than that, though, I know I talked to Mr. Brown today, and he told me, he said, not only are they great girls that work hard to be a great dance team, but they're great students. And they're great role models in the school. And so we just want to say on behalf of the school district how proud we are of you. And you look forward to your future. I would assume you'll move on, and on your side of town, that would be the Blue Angels. Yeah. They've got quite a record of their own. And so I thank you to the parents. It takes a lot of support, a lot of extra hours to bring them. As I look at them, I think about my daughter, and it was yesterday she was in the 8th grade. Y'all better hang on. That's all I'm going to say. Back there to that group, you better hang on. But congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Thank you all so much.
And we have a certificate for each of them, so if you'll make sure they get that, that'd be great. You are more than welcome to pass those out now.
You know, Dr. Nichols, it's fun to see, and I'm glad to see normality. So it's been now, this is going to be my 8th year coming to board meetings. And I remember the first time I came in, it was presentation like this around this time. So I'm so glad. What made this the most fun meeting I used to go as a councilman was seeing the kids and seeing the accomplishment and see the wonderful things that you guys do because of your teachers and because of your commitment. So I'm glad that now we're coming back to our normality and we can see our kids and celebrate your successes here at the board.
I agree. And Ms. Denzine's over there. I'm sure you, our meetings are more fun than the city council. Trust me on that. So, because we get to see you. So,
well, thank you. I'll get these passed out and we'll be on our way. Michaela? Lauren Lane? Lauren Walker? Ramsey Carey? Abigail Baker? Abby Taylor? Brielle Hicks is not with us tonight. V. Laporte? Addison Hankins? Lily C. Courtney Kelley. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Mr. President, members of the board, we have one other presentation. I'd like to introduce Mr. Tim Smalley of Byrd, Smalley, and Adams. They have been our auditing group this year, and at this time they will share their report of their audit for you.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Good evening, board. It's good to be with you this afternoon.
Good evening. Thank you.
The reports are being passed out to you. I'll refer to them briefly. While that's happening, I'll introduce two of the team members that performed the audit that are with me this evening, Erica Goff and Taylor Wood. They're senior members of our organization and do great work. All right. The first thing I'll comment on is this separate stapled letter. It's a significant audit matter letter that we provide to the board. It is the results of our evaluation of certain qualitative matters as a part of our audit. And in the letter, it explains things about whether we had difficulties with management. Did we feel like there was transparency? Were we satisfied with the use of estimates? Did you properly employ the accounting policies and practices that are required? Did you provide us the representations that we asked for? In other words, did you give us everything and tell us everything? And the results of that evaluation is all favorable and positive, and I appreciate the great cooperation that we had with your superintendent, the accounting staff that were very cooperative and helpful. and that was a good experience. In the bound package, it contains your financial statements for the district for the fiscal year ended September the 30th, 2021. You engaged us on behalf of the board to perform an audit of those financial statements and give an opinion. On page 1, it explains what the audit process is about, what it is. But the good news to the board is that it is our best report, the auditor's unmodified opinion. And congratulations on receiving that. Because you receive federal funds, there's 2 more things that we are required to do. And we have reports about that toward the back of the package, beginning on page 56. We evaluate your internal controls, and we evaluate compliance. We're looking for weaknesses in the control systems or any noncompliance. I'm happy to report to you that we did not find weaknesses in your control system nor any noncompliance. Again, that's the best report. Congratulations. Following that, the last letter, again, because of federal monies, we are required to do further, more granular work. We isolate certain federal programs. They're called major federal programs. And every year that program selected and that is going to change, so ultimately all those federal programs get extra attention. They get further testing for controls and compliance. And as a result of our work, we did not find any issues with the internal control system, and there was no noncompliance. Another good report. 3 A's for the board. I have a 2.5-hour presentation, but that's the summary version of it. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
I know that you had a meeting with our finance committee before this meeting at 4:30, and I'd like to invite Mr. Holsey or Mr. Cummings to ask any questions or point anything out or make any comments that they see fit.
So you are correct. We had a meeting earlier, and it was a testament to hear that this first time this company has audited our system, and then a testament to our finance team and leadership that they found a great report.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings.
Yeah, I certainly asked all my questions, which were fairly basic, and my takeaway from the summary that's been presented is that one thing we discussed is this is not it's an in-depth audit, but as you said, it's not a material audit, in that it's not looking at every penny. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We consider,
but we're looking at controls, we're looking at big picture things, and oftentimes when there's problems there, that's when you start to identify some deeper problems. And we got great scores in terms of financial systems, compliance, and our major programs. So, as Mr. Cummings said, I took the report as a validation of our finance department and the good job they're doing, and the systems we have in place, the control systems we have in place to make sure that we are properly managing our finances and reporting them as such. So, I took it as a very strong report, and again, just a great job by our finance department validating their work.
First of all, Ms. Smalley, and I want to thank your group, folks that came and worked with us, and we are glad that your report is good. I want to thank Ms. Williams, Ms. Gray, and our local bookkeepers. There's a lot of work that goes on there to provide and to keep those procedures in place, and I'm certainly appreciative of the work that they do to set those policies and procedures, to oversee those, and at the same time at the school level, the work that we get to ensure a good report. So thank you very much. Your team was a pleasure to work with. They're brand new to us, and so that's always a new transition, new questions, or things you would like to look at, and your team did an excellent job of asking those and working with us. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. Nichols. And board, I want you to know that the quality of the system starts with the attitude that the board has. Your amount of engagement, which is very, very high, is exemplary. And I admire and appreciate that. And it's the importance that the board sets on those matters that determines that the superintendent is going to follow that through, that your accounting department is going to be able to execute that at the standard that you expect, and they're doing that. And you have a high growth system. You're financially sound thanks to your sound and conservative fiscal practices. And congratulations again on the report. If I can help you at any time, don't hesitate to contact us.
Thank you.
Mr. Ferrer, Ms. Lessman, do you have any other statements?
I think we have always said this, and we always talk about how wonderful our teachers are and how we have, but we always know how great you are. We always call you guys as our all-star team. Even though sometimes you see as a school system, you don't understand the magnitude and the amount of funds that you are responsible for. As the CSFO, and you and your department is responsible for a lot of money. I think is one of the biggest around or North Alabama. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of commitment, it's a lot of, as an accountant myself, it's a lot of stress to always be responsible. And when the boogeyman is going to show up, it's going to be knocking at your door. So we truly appreciate you guys, and we truly value you because you're the one who makes sure that make recommendation, you and your team, for every teacher, for every student to have what they need and make sure that we pay the right amount and the fair amount. So you are responsible for making sure that the taxpayer money is well spent and is well kept. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Nichols, any further presentations?
No, sir, Mr. President.
Now is the time in the board meeting where we will go to public comments. And any member of the public who's signed up to speak will be given 3 minutes. And just be respectful to the audience, as there may be differing opinions expressed during public comments. We don't have any public comments. We will close public comments, and we will move into business actions.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for approval consent agenda item A, number 22-06, minutes of March 10th, 2022. B, disposal and sale of a 2005 Ford Expedition on govsdeal.com. And C, the Madison City School Elementary Summer Camp pay rate increase rising sixth graders and rising kindergarten through sixth grade with weekly rate from $140 to $160, a weekly rate for two from $210 to $250, and a weekly rate for three from $270 to $330. These camps will be held this summer at Heritage, Midtown, and Mill Creek from June 1, 2022 to July 22 of 2022.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the consent agenda items that you have before you. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ferrer and a second by Mr. Cummings. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstain? The consent agenda passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of bid number 2022-04. This is to add to our fleet of vehicles. These will be, the responsive bidder is Bill Penny Toyota. In that are 4 Toyota Camrys, 1 Toyota Corolla Cross, which I think is one of the new lines that's just come off of our plant down the street, a Toyota Highlander, and a Toyota RAV4. The 4 vehicles will be used for driver's education. Some of our vehicles got really old. We haven't bought new vehicles, Ms. Williams, in how long? 8 to 10 years. So they've gained a pretty excessive amount of miles. We did bid these out, and the best and responsible bid was from Bill Penny Toyota. I recommend this for your approval.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of bid number 2022-04. Can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Ferrer and a second by Mr. Halsey. open it up for comments.
Mr. President, members of the board, I just remind you that other than driver's education, we do utilize these fleets for folks travel to state meetings in Montgomery. We also use them for our social workers if they have to visit families and in the community. So these are floating fleet that can be used throughout by district staff. We've done a management study of Ms. Williams and Ms. Gray and looked at the cost of reimbursement mileage versus what we're getting out of the fleet. And I will say that when you can get 8 to 10 years out of a car, and our maintenance staff, I give them credit because they've kept these cars after the warranty ran out. Our transportation staff helps to keep them up to date. So the fleet's gotten, Mr. Terrell, the fleet's gotten a little old, and so we felt like it was time. We got a good bid. We looked at pricing from a year ago. There were also, due to the fact that we were getting one off the line here, there's some, I think, rebates locally on that. So we got to feel really good about the price, and these are used throughout the district by many staff.
And board, these were budgeted in the annual budget.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They were budgeted this year. We had anticipated to purchase these vehicles.
These are immediate purchases?
Yes, sir.
My daughter, who just completed driver's ed, will be upset to know she does not get a new car for driver's ed. But I do think it's important that we maintain safe, reliable cars for our students who are out there taking driver's ed. So it's definitely a part of our budgeting process to make sure we're replacing those regularly.
They do not come with the flashing sign that says student driver, so you don't see that when they're coming up behind you. So they don't say that.
Anything else, board? No. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, personnel actions.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for your approval the supplemental contract works for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the supplemental contracts that you have before you. Can I have can these be taken as a group? The group fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Ferrer. Any discussion, board? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for your approval the substitute list for Madison City Schools.
Board, the superintendent recommends approval of the list of substitutes for Madison City Schools. Can these be taken as a group? With the group being fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Ferrer. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend for your approval the personnel actions as listed before you for leaves and retirements, resignations, transfers, and employments.
Board, the superintendent recommends the personnel actions that you have before you. Can these be taken as a group?
Yes.
With the group fine, can I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Lessman and a second by Mr. Cummings. Any discussion, board? Call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Dr. Nichols, are there any personnel actions you'd like to call attention to?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. A few people I'd like to recognize that were on our retirement list. Ms. Gina Ashley has been at Horizon since it opened in 1996. Third grade teacher, then moved to media specialist. Had children through our district and has certainly done an outstanding job at Horizon. Diane Milliken started with Madison City in 2008 at Discovery and then became the CNP manager at Madison Elementary School for the last 12 years. And so we certainly will miss her. Marilyn Holman has been part of our CMP staff for 19 years. So we certainly will miss her. She plans to spend a lot more time with her grandchildren, she said. Brenda Bissett has been a strong member of the CMP program for the last 11 years at Discovery Middle School. And these grandchildren are really hurting us in a way because they want to spend time with them. I don't understand that. Mrs. Teresa Cannon has started at Columbia as CMP, then transitioned to Bob Jones, where she's been there for 8 years. She plans to continue to work with children at a local daycare, so we congratulate her. And then Richard Travers, who's been an awesome math teacher at Bob Jones for 22 years. 20 years he has been the voice of Patriot football and basketball. He also has been an amazing bus driver for student athletes all over the Southeast, and has just been a great supporter of students in many, many programs, and so we honor him for that service. And we wish all of these folks a great retirement. We hope that it will be as beneficial to them in their retirement as they have been to the children of Madison City Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Yes, we do wish a long and happy retirement to those. With no further action items, we will move into superintendent comments. Dr. Nichols?
Well, you know, I'm usually short-winded, Mr. Holcamp, but I'm gonna read a plethora of things tonight because we've had so many things going on. First of all, Officer Walls and Paris are here with us, and appreciate our SROs. I was over at Madison Elementary School the other morning for the Too Good for Drugs 5th grade session, and our Chief Gandy showed up, and I want to say thank you to the Chief. I know he's a busy man, and he took time out of his schedule to hand out certificates and be there, and so they talked about their summer camp, and I may try to hang out at the summer camp. They have karaoke and dancing, Dr. West. Have you been to the summer camp? No summer camp for you. Okay. Couple of things. First of all, folks may drive by Bob Jones and see some landscaping work going on. Well, first of all, it started with a lot of trees taken out. We had a lot of trees over there that through the years had developed issues, and so our plan this summer is to redo the entire parking lot out there with new lighting upgraded and new landscaping around the school. You know, I'm always amazed when Mr. Nola draws us that 3D picture of what a new school looks like. All the shrubberies are about 5 years old, but they never show you what they look like in 30 years. And so we felt like it was time to kind of do some work and spruce up Bob Jones, Mr. Jones over there, Mr. Terrell, Mr. Gunner have been working on that. Once we get that one done, then we've got some other schools we're going to start working on as they get into that 20-year mark. We're going to start working on them. So if folks drive by and see that, don't panic. Also this week, 27 of our Bob Jones students attended the oral arguments of the Alabama Supreme Court. That was an exciting day for those kids to get an opportunity to go actually see the court in action. We were blessed to get to interact with the Supreme Court members in a reception that they had, and I thank you, Mr. Sanderson, and for getting us invited to have that opportunity. Today, we had a great, you know, a lot of times I hear from our business community about soft skills, working on soft skills. Today, Caleb Owens, our career coach at James Clemens, had a soft skill afternoon for kids, and they could come and meet industry and business partners and interact and get those soft skills, so I appreciate that. I want to thank Mr. Jones. Our welding program is running full blast. We had a little issue getting some connectivity of electricity over there into our mobile welding unit, but we've been online about 2 weeks now, 2.5. Appreciate Mr. Hollywood, our teacher. He brought a portable system so that our kids would get that opportunity until we could get the full-blown system going. And so if you get a chance, I encourage you to go by West Madison. It's right there on the side, and they'd love in the mornings to have you drop by and take a visit. We saw our kids here for the play, but I'd remind you, Midsummer's Night Dream is at James Clemens, and Mamma Mia is at Bob Jones. One's April the 7th through the 9th, one April 14th through the 23rd. So anybody out there watching, you've got 3 weeks of great theater here in town. You can go elementary, you can go high school, so I encourage you to do that. I also want to give a shout out to our band and chorus folks. Every one of our middle school and high school band and chorus units participated in the state assessment. And I'm proud to say that all of the groups in our school district got superior ratings. And so I can tell you from experience, not all groups get them, and it takes a lot of effort, and they put the effort in, and I was able to break away and hear 5 or 6 of the groups. And I'm telling you, we should be very proud of the excellent leadership we have in those. Mr. Buckner from the State Department came today and surprised our new national board teachers. He oversees the national board for the State Department, and he personally went and visited as many as he could today. We kind of had a hold for a while, as these parents may know, and we're on ACAP testing. And so once that starts in the school, that kind of locks the school down. But he got here really early this morning to get out and interact with as many of those teachers as he could. We're full-blown into registration. Our folks are out there doing registration. We're having those parent academy or university nights to get ready, and please feel free. I know that's a big deal. I remember when mine started in high school, and that's a great transition, and trying to pick those classes and what they need. And so, feel free to contact your counselors if you still have questions. Those registrations are going on, and then our assistant principals will be working diligently to get all those schedules into place. We received $29,000 of art grants from the State Department art this week. $10,000 went to Mary Davis at Bob Jones. Mary's raising money to upgrade their theatrical lights on their stage. I think Tom Butler gave her $10,000, so she's got $29,000, and we're trying to work. Lee Shaw's working, and we're working to see what we can do to get those upgraded. And then Austin Smith got a $20,000 arts grant for ceramic work in the arts program. He works at both schools, and so he got that grant to work on expanding those opportunities. A couple other things. I thank Dr. Nelson at Heritage. They had over 30 parents show up in their inaugural 7 Habits for Effective Families. And so these parents will be coming over several weeks to go through this process. And so they were very excited to get parents engaged in the school and have them there. Mr. Hill left, but he's having the Panther Perk in the morning. So there's coffee now at Discovery. Mr. Hill's a coffee man like the superintendent, and they're delivering coffee to their teachers and staff in the morning. Liberty, I just tell you, we are blessed to have great teachers. And so I've asked our principals to share with me innovative things that are happening. Ms. Kristen Brown at Liberty, they have Ms. White and Ms. Hicks who do peer-to-peer tutoring. And then, of course, the board knows we offer online tutoring for students that need assistance. But she developed academic enrichment after dark from like 3 to 7 at night for kids who were struggling or wanted to come or stay after school, and then went out in the community and found partners to pay so they could feed them dinner while they were there. And so I'm just very proud of that's going on. Stella Lee, one of our students at Mill Creek, we're going to have her here at a board meeting, but she was recognized for a design poster that she won for the Space and Rocket Center. And she was also recognized a few weeks ago for a state poster she created and got to meet Governor Ivey. And Mr. Wilson told me, Stella moved here a couple of years ago. She was in our EL program and learned English in a 2-year period and has exited that and is now out of the EL program and transitioned out. And I just want to say thank you to our teachers out there. We have 86 different languages represented in this school district. And you think about that, from all over this world. And our EL teachers do a tremendous job of transitioning students into the district and becoming fluent in English. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know how many of y'all took a language in high school or middle school, and I don't know how fluent you still are. But Mr. Well, you know me cheating over here now. You win that, Mr. Ferrer. But I remember French in high school, and I would probably be pretty lost in Paris right now. I'm just going to tell you. And finally, I told you I had a whole bunch. I am so proud of our cyber high school program. Recently, in the state competition, James Clemens had 2 first place in the all-service and open division, and a second place in the open division, and a third place in the open division, and Bob Jones had a second place in the open division. And I'm just going to tell you, our cyber teachers do a tremendous job. And we have that partnership that not only is with our teachers that we have, but also we'll be working through our ROTC programs as we look at DODEA grants to allow those students that have a military focus that idea to go into cyber. And, you know, I'm just going to brag. You don't have to go anywhere else to get a good cyber education than right here.
Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing? So I'm just, our folks are doing a great job, and I'm proud of them. And we're going to continue to support them and do that. And hopefully next board meeting, I'll come back and have another long list. I've asked the principals to share those, and I appreciate the work. You know, our audit was here a second ago, and I say this just for parents that are here so you know. We're a growing system. We're in a few systems in the state that grow. We probably have grown this year probably close to 400. If you look back over the last 10 years, that's probably been a pretty good average. The COVID year was kind of down. In the past, if you grew 400 students, so you start school and you're paid for the number of kids you have from the previous year. So if you had 11,000, the next year the state gives you the money for 11,000. You wake up on August and you've got 11,400. Well, the state would give you 20% in November of what that would have been for those 400. So if you take 6,000 to the 400, you'd get about 480,000 of the 2.4 million you should have gotten for those kids. And so the local school, we as the local school, our local tax money has to ante up the rest. When those 400 show up and we have to add teacher units at $75,000 to $80,000 with benefits, or we have to hire additional staff, that's a local expenditure that we have to do. Well, last year the state changed their plan, and so the good news is, the bad news is we will not, for the 400 or so, 350 we've gained this year, we will not get that money in November. Mm-hmm. That's the bad news. Normally we would have gotten $480,000. The good news is that they will do it in arrear, so we'll get that money we needed for them next year, but we'll only probably get about 50%, which is better than 20, because now they take a rolling average. So in other words, if you're 300, then you're 200, then you're 400, they average those 3 years out and give you that a year later. And so if we keep growing, those averages will get back to where they were. So in the good news is we'll get a little more money. It won't be this year, it'll come next year, but it will help the district. But that's how funding works and how much we are impacted by and need our local money to help us do that. So I just want to share that with you as Mr. Smalley was working on that and looking at it. And so I appreciate, again, Laverne and Jana, because we work together. We're doing staffing right now. And, you know, everybody has a wish list. I couldn't help but think today, Mr. Holtkamp and Ms. Lessman, we were at the annual chamber lunch. And the lady talked about how to look into the future. And one of the things she said is we have to ask ourselves, what have we been doing that maybe we don't need to do anymore, or we need to do differently because times have changed, and we can reuse that money to try to do the things we want to do. And so, you know, that's what we're doing right now in our staffing meetings. We're challenging our team to look at where we expend for staff, where we've done that traditionally for years, but maybe we could change. Maybe times have changed. I appreciate that our staff is willing to do that and take a chance to look at that. So I think that's it. That was my long plethora there. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Nichols. And I'm going to change it up myself tonight. I've been starting on my right for most of this year. I'm going to ask Mr. Holsey to start us off tonight on board comments.
Dr. Nichols, thank you for that update. It's good to hear, again, all the great things going on with our students and our teachers, and those are great stories you're sharing. Along those lines, congratulations to all our students who are here again tonight, and as Mr. Ferrer alluded to, it is great to have those presentations of students coming in and hearing and seeing the great things they've accomplished. We're really proud of them, and they're just doing great things. And then finally, again, comments on the audit. Congratulate Ms. Williams and the team of all the work you've done. Again, I just feel like the audit, which is something we obviously need to do and have to do, that it validates what we felt. We've got good controls in place, good systems in place. So great job on that, and then congratulations to you and your team on that. The fair rating we got, which we learned in accounting, fair means excellent. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Holsey. Mr. Ferrer.
So, like I said, it's amazing to see kids back. It brings a smile to everybody. It's amazing the things, our kids and our teachers do and our parents, because our parents are really committed to our schools. But also, like I said, I always like to brag, so it's time for me to brag about our finance department. So our finance department, for all that we always share our accolades for our teachers and our counselors in our special education or EL. But you have to understand, when you have a budget of $162 million, but you constantly, it's not as easy as other system where you can just transfer, use escalation, and just use and produce the budget for next year. This is a system that is growing 400. So not only do they have to take in consideration in staff for 1,200 plus students, for 2,000 employees, they got a forecast. And that's one of the hardest things if you are an accountant or you're creating a budget, being able to do that and do it the way that they do, where we always finish with excess. So it's amazing. Not only do they do that, they have to also pay employees. It's 2,000 employees. So they have to make sure everybody gets paid. And they also have to pay over $150 million in expenditure. So not only have to pay our employees and keep everybody paid, they have to pay the light, they have to pay all the different things that they have to do. They've also been dealing with constructions of 2 schools. They have to deal with taxes and understand revenue to make sure they check that we can get what we're supposed to get. And usually, typically, there's not a lot of school systems that have to do that for two cities in 2 counties. And they only have 10 employees. So it's just a miracle. It's amazing. I know what you guys do. Sometimes there's a lot of, or human resources and your finance department, they get lost on the acolytes, but we notice. We notice, when Laverne, John, and Eric, all the things that you guys do, when you are overworked, you are understaffed, but you get it done. So thank you, and thank you for everybody that works in that department.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Ferrer. Mr. Cummings.
This is another outstanding night. I guess I'm going to echo the same thing that's been said. It's excellent to have the kids back in front of the school board. That's always the highlight of my day, seeing the accomplishments of our students and our staff. And then just based on some of the things that Dr. Nichols read, we can have students come to this board and staff come to this board every single board meeting and see the awards and the accolades that our students are achieving and accomplishing. And this is just an outstanding system. I just want to say thank you to our finance team again. Talking to the auditors, and this was their first time auditing our system. So to me, the first time you're auditing in a system, you're going to check every corner, every crack, and for them to still come out with a fair, which is Mr. Hosey said, which is outstanding, a report, it just speaks volumes to the leadership and the finance team. So thank you guys again. Keep up the good work. Of course, I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Ms. Lessman.
I echo, thank you so much, Ms. Williams, Ms. Gray, and your team. excellent work. To no deficiencies. That's fantastic, and I'm glad you clarified the fair means excellent. Because I saw no deficiencies. How are we just fair? So thank you so much for your work. And Dr. Nichols, you can always be long-winded like that. I love hearing about all the opportunity that Madison City Schools provides to our students. For instance, the court, the court that was, they did it at the VBCC. Thank you, Mr. Sanderson, for letting us know. I actually got to attend part of that. And what an amazing opportunity for these students to actually see a real live court case going on. Things like that.
Ms. Lesman, you may note that we had a Bob Jones graduate was arguing one of those cases before the board.
Bob Jones graduate was arguing one of the cases. I did not even know that. Which was he on this side or that? Well, anyway, y'all have to ask you later. Because very impressive. Yeah.
He's a deputy attorney general.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. So amazing. And for them to come back and come back to Madison after they're done with their school. So, again, I love seeing the kids here. Congratulations to Discovery. We did dabbled in the Scholars Bowl when my kids were in middle school, and those questions I volunteered, and I couldn't even pronounce some of the questions. It was, what is this? And so those are some really smart kids, and I don't know that I want to go against them. And then congratulations to the Lionettes. I mean, second in the nation for hip hop. That's fantastic. And then thank you, Miss Bolden, for these tickets. April 1 through 3, I'm going to come see Frozen. That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. So, so many great things going on. It's great to see everybody back from spring break. Summer's just around the corner. So, thank you.
Can we come 3 times?
Re-show it.
Thank you, Ms. Listman. Probably about the only thing that wasn't mentioned was that even though it was spring break, this board attended the ASB training session, the spring training session, and several of us also did the poverty simulation, which is many organizations do that. Leadership Huntsville does one of those. ASB does that, and while you can't truly simulate, poverty in such a short time, or really at all, it is eye-opening in a 90-minute to 2-hour session of how priorities shift, how things that many of us are blessed to not even consider, how those become driving factors in a day, and just time sinks, where transportation becomes an impediment to most things. It's just a real eye-opener. That was the second one of those that I went through, and I appreciate ASB for one, offering that, and two, for the first time in my knowledge ever holding an ASB training event in North Alabama. So that was, I actually heard a couple of Baldwin County people saying, well, yeah, I don't know how I had to drive so far, but we've driven for years and years. So it is a long haul from Baldwin County. I'll give them that. But I was thankful to ASB for that. And thank you so much, Dr. Nichols, for bringing up cyber education. You were gonna hit something true with me. There's been a lot of emphasis on that school down the road, and a lot of people have given a lot of money to that school down the road to offer what Madison City Schools offers their students. And I'm so excited for those students and for our teachers that they are performing at that level on those competitions. I'd like to thank Ms. Denzine for joining us again tonight. We always appreciate the support of the City Council, and thank you for being here with us tonight. And if there's nothing further, Board, I'll announce that we have a Finance Committee meeting on April 7th, and that will be at 4, and we have a School Board meeting immediately afterwards at 5 here in the boardroom. And if there's nothing further, I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ferrer and a second by Ms. Slessman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? We are